So I'm a writer, you're a writer, and we're writers on the Mac. So either you are already a fan of keyboard shortcuts on the Mac and you want to know more of them, or you're going to be. Follow. You're writing away on your Mac, you're deep into a project, and you were sure actually that you'd switched off mail, you'd quit mail precisely so that you wouldn't get these interruptions, but apparently not. So you take your hands off the keyboard, you look for your trackpad in my case, or maybe your mouse in yours, and then you find the mail icon, maybe in the dock, and you click on that, and then you see that the new email is a completely pointless interruption. Okay, delete that. And now, because you don't want this to happen again in a few seconds, you find Mail's quit menu. It's under File, then Quit, you choose that, and now you click back into your writing app, and you wonder, what in the world had you been about to type next? Or, alternatively, this. You're writing away on your Mac, wouldn't you? Okay, Command Tab. You look at Mail, see it's yet another completely pointless message, so yeah, delete that with the delete key. And now Command Q to quit Mail. You're back where you were. Even though, I do want you to see how much faster this is literally to use keyboard shortcuts and mouse and trackpads and all that stuff. It's not as if it's the precise number of seconds that's the point. The point is the cognitive load. Because I am so used to these keyboard shortcuts, not only did I not have to take my hands off the keyboard to go find them, I just didn't have to look in any way. I didn't have to think about what they were. You and I can use these shortcuts as we're writing so fast, we don't really register that we've used them at all. Which means, okay, yeah, you still got interrupted then, but in that example, but you are far more likely to be able to deal with whatever that was and get back to writing what you need to write. And writing is why we are here. And why this time, 58 Keys is going to be looking at my top 5 favourite keyboard shortcuts like that. Ish, works out to a bit more than 5, but you'll see. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which as always is for writers like you and me who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Please do subscribe, because actually there's so much to talk about that you and I could put off proper writing for ages. Today it's all about the Mac and 5 keyboard shortcuts for writers on the Mac, and actually then afterwards, totally because we're writers, and who can resist a good story? You must let me tell you the story of why the Command key, the Apple keyboard thing, has that symbol on it. But actually, no, I'll tell you what, before even the top 5, let me give you the top 1 keyboard shortcut, Command S for save. Look at my keyboard. The S key is worn out more than any other, and it's because I save all the time. Not sure why the A key is worn out too and why the Command key isn't. Anyway, Apple has actually made a really good concerted effort to remove the need for you to ever think about saving again. So if you're writing in Pages, for example, by Apple, then you don't save because it just saves all the time for you. If you're writing in Apple Notes, well, good luck even finding a save button. But this is a case where a good effort is not good enough for whatever reason. Other developers and their apps, they don't automatically save for you, or they do in different ways you have to set up. So when you use a lot of different apps, as we tend to as writers, learn Command S. So you just automatically Command S all the time. Pause, thinking about something, Command S. And now, with that said, my top 5 in the order that I use the most often after Command S. My 5th one, actually I should say this only works in Apple Mail, but I use Mail all the time, and I use this keystroke in every single email I write. Actually, I use more than 2. Have I got a problem with keystrokes? To start an email message, you can just do Command N, blank message appears, and you type in the 2 thing, and then you can hit the Tab key, can't you, to press down from 2 to CC to subject, and then into the body. Fine, and then you write your email. Okay. But this is my one. This is the 5th one that I use most often. Shift Command D, D for deliver. It sends the email. That's all. But it means I don't have to take my hands off the keyboard, look for the cursor, find the send button, click and I just send it, and I move on. I have this wide monitor here, and usually I've got lots of different apps. I have very many apps, each actually sometimes with very many documents and windows and files open, and I do work across all of them. But when you are writing something, so often it's just you and your text and you're focused. So I do this. Press Option, Command and tap the H key and it hides others. It will hide everything but the app you are currently using. They're still there, they're just not in your face. Actually, most of them aren't. One thing, this is supposed to hide everything, but there are some apps that just, it's like they don't play nice with the Mac. Text Expander, for instance, Stream Deck, it's like they sit there with their arms going, you're not hiding me. But in both of those cases, they're things that you don't use very often. You might set them up, they run in the background maybe, but you don't need their windows open. So when I start the Mac and up they come and they launch, I will take a second to click on the yellow traffic light button to minimize them both into the dock, and then they're kind of gone and out of the way. Back to when I do have very many apps. This is actually the keyboard shortcut that I showed you at the start, when I wanted you to see about quitting mail very quickly. It's Command Tab. On any Mac, Command Tab will bring up this wide list of all the currently running apps, and if you keep the Command key pressed down and tap on the Tab key, you step through each of the apps. Let go on one of them and that app comes forward. Okay. Or while you're still keeping Command pressed down, if you press down Shift as well and then hit Tab, you step back through the other way. So yeah, you go too far, you miss one, you can tab to go back, or you can just go round and round, folks. What actually tends to happen with me most is that I might be using two apps a lot and I want to go back and forth. I don't wait then for the row of icons to appear. I just hit Command Tab and the Mac swaps me from my current app to that other one. And because it then remembers the order you had things, to go back to the first one, Command Tab, exactly again, and I'm back. I'm going back and forth effortlessly without thinking a dozen times. Next, I use this in Safari constantly, but it's actually exactly the same in any web browser on a Mac and on a PC. So if you prefer Chrome, Edge, Firefox, or even for some reason Microsoft's old Internet Explorer, I'm not judging, it doesn't matter. You can use Command L. Follow. Here I am reading a web page and I decide I want to go to, I don't know, BBC News or something. I could take my hands off the keyboard, go find the mouse or the trackpad, click by the cursor, click at the address bar, tap delete. Yeah, I could do all of that and start typing the address I want, BBC News, whatever. Or I could just Command L and start typing the address I want. Command L leaps the cursor up to the address bar and selects whatever is already there, and because it's selected, because it's highlighted, the moment you start typing anything new, that new thing instantly deletes what was there. So it's not, you don't even have to remember what was there before. You don't have to delete, just it's gone. If that's not what I want, if you instead want to go to the same site but a different page, well then Command L takes you up to there, highlights it, tap the right arrow button and the cursor moves to the end, dropping the highlighter. Type yourself a slash and then add whatever the other page is. And now, should have put a drum roll. My number one most used keyboard shortcut in the world ever, and it's actually so useful that I've already done a 58 keys episode on just this kind of. Command Space. On any Mac, pressing Command Space will bring up Spotlight, and within Spotlight you can start, you can type the name of an app, and when it appears in it, just hit return to open it. You can do the same with the name of a document, start typing it, hit return, open it. You can do basic maths actually. You can do all sorts of things with Spotlight, and then that's just great and wonderful, and it all came out of Command Space. Except Command Space, it is my most used keyboard shortcut, but not for bringing up Spotlight. I don't use it for Spotlight, as good as Spotlight is. I actually use it for an app called Alfred. So it's same keystroke, but it opens Alfred for me instead. And Alfred does pretty much everything that Spotlight does, but it actually then does a lot more. Actually, I must be really into this. See the 58 Keys episode about Alfred, in which I enthuse. Descriptions below. But it's the same keystroke to do a very similar thing that anybody can use on their Mac. Alfred and Spotlight, and also they let you change the keyboard shortcut to suit you. Not all of them, but Apple lets you change, many lets you remap shortcuts to get into this as you go further into keyboard shortcuts, and you will. You might actually, I mean, you have just seen my top 5 most used ones that you can use right now in a Mac, even if you bought the Mac today. But I can create ones of my own. You can create ones of your own. You can get excessively into this, and you're thinking that's a topic for another day, aren't you? Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. Good point. There's a limit, isn't there? One more thing, I can't actually count this as one of my top 5 keyboard shortcuts because I didn't know it. You see, these shortcuts, like, they're so ingrained into me now. I use them so often, I couldn't actually remember how you do them to tell you. I couldn't remember them enough to show you that you press Command here and Shift there and all of that. So I did work through them all. I worked through them in a kind of slow motion to see what were my fingers actually doing. And then when that actually didn't turn out to work very well, I looked them all up. You know, it's like I'd forget halfway. So I checked them all out, made sure I was right. And these specific shortcuts, all true. But then I found another one. Totally new to me, but it's going to be in my top 6. Highlight any word in any document in any app, pretty much on your Mac, and then press Command Control D, and you get a pop-up dictionary definition of that word. Thank you very much for showing me that one. I should say I do use a lot more than these 6 keyboard shortcuts on my Mac. Let me know in the comments, would you, if you're up for hearing about more. I mean, you know, I can enthuse a long time about these, and there are others that are great too. These just happen to be my top 5 or 6. Actually, there's the same thing for the iPad as well. As long as you have an external keyboard, there are keyboard shortcuts you can use on the iPad too. So if you've got one of those or you're thinking about it, let me know in the comments if you're interested in the keyboard shortcuts for that. I'm quite new to having an external keyboard or iPad, so I'm still finding them myself, but there's just oodles of them. And now, with all that useful stuff done, maybe a bit anarchy, let me tell you about that symbol. When the Mac was being developed in the 1980s, that symbol was not used. The Apple logo was instead. And the thing that we now call the Command key, it was called the Apple key. Before the Mac was even released, it was going to have the Apple logo on it and be called the Apple key, and people still call it that. Except it said that Steve Jobs objected. He could see some future manual, printed manual, where the page is full of press Apple this, Apple that, and that Apple's precious logo would be cheapened by its excessive repetition on the page. And I think actually he also, you know what we're like with text, he saw how ugly on the page that repetition would be. So the Apple logo, the Apple key logo, that was out, even though everybody continued calling it the Apple key for so long afterwards. Susan Kare, designer of icons things, she designed its replacement. She chose the design in the 80s that we still see now, decades later, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of talent, and also a lot of searching for any relevant existing symbols. And Kare found this one on Swiss maps. On a Swiss map, it's a symbol meaning a site of interest. Something special then. That was the point of it on a map, and this was a special key. Let me link to a video that Susan Kare made much later that explains this process, but also I love this so much, how even she learned more about her own icon later on, because very many years later, decades later, she learned that the symbol on a Swiss map is not random. It's not just a created graphic design, it is meant to depict something. It's meant to depict a castle with turrets at each corner. Honestly, I am surprised I haven't spent this whole time telling you about castle option shift or something like that. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you again to the UK's Arts Council for the months they've spent helping me develop 58 Keys and these special episodes we've been having. Thank you very much to you too for watching, though. Yeah, I was going to urge you actually to write more, but let's give ourselves a break. You know, you can skip writing for a bit, so long as it's you're taking time out to subscribe. We got a deal. Subscribe and have a biscuit or something. Yeah. Okay. Take care of yourself. Write more. You and me both. And I'll see you soon.